Hi, I'm Katie. Welcome to Yoga Awakening and welcome to this restorative yoga practice. So, this class is all about doing less. And if you're a little bit apprehensive, if you've started the video, if this is something that's new to you, this idea of the value in doing less, give it a try. I encourage you to trust that there is value here. And even if it's hard, that's okay too. So I also invite you to bring any yoga props that you might have in your space to your mat. I have a couple of blocks and a bolster. I have a blanket here folded. Anything you have is great. I just encourage you to find whatever that is and have some support and props nearby. That will definitely help in making this hopefully feel really supportive. So even if that's just a few pillows and blankets from your bed, that's great. As you can see, you also don't need any special yoga clothes for this practice or any other, really. Put on your sweatpants or anything you have that's comfy, and we'll get started on our backs. So make your way down onto your back, and I also invite you to have a blanket of any kind somewhere nearby. We'll take just a few moments lying on the back without any prop underneath, and then you'll have an option to use that blanket if you have it. And if you don't, this is where you'll be for the next couple of minutes. Arrive here on your mat. Arrive in your body. Just take note of whatever it is that's present for you. Know that there is no right or wrong here in what you're experiencing, in what you experience as we come into these supported shapes. And if you've been taking any other classes with me here on YouTube, I hope that you've gotten a sense of that you've been experiencing that. That there is no right or wrong in your experience. So as we start to invite this doing less and this being more, you might start to notice a lot of new experiences or subtler experiences as you simply come into the present moment and into your body. You might notice that it can be challenging or uncomfortable. to simply be without really any distractions, without really even the distraction of sensation in a pose. That might mean you start to pick up on other subtler sensations present in the body, or thoughts in the mind, or emotions or qualities or tones of your experience. And the invitation is to allow for all of that to be as well. So that might mean even setting aside expectations about how you want the practice to feel, what thoughts you like or don't like. So if you're not using the prop today, if you don't have the blanket, you'll just continue here for another minute or so. If you do happen to have a blanket with you, you'll go ahead and just roll it up into a really small roll, so maybe a couple of inches. And then if there's any extra there, you can bring that towards the head end of your mat. And then we'll come to lie down on that roll. My blanket's a little squishier, so I might need a little bit more. We'll come to lie down on that roll with the mid-back. So adjusting the roll a little higher or lower along the back as you need. So making sure that it's not too thick, and we just want the subtlest hint of opening. So if you come down into the roll and it already feels like, oh, whoa, that's a back bend, you might want to unroll it just a little bit. And make sure it's underneath the armpit so that the arms and shoulders can be totally free to rest there on the mat. You might like to open your arms a little bit wider. You should feel this soft opening, the spreading of the lower ribs. If you found something that feels like that, you're probably in the right spot. We'll just be here for a minute or so. So throughout the practice, I encourage you to search for this level of sensation, which is really just about none. So if you're used to more sensation-filled yoga classes, which if you've done any yoga classes before, you probably are, maybe more feelings of stretching or working. And those practices are great too, but we have a bit of a different goal in mind for today's practice, this restorative goal. So here I feel a sense of opening, but I don't really feel a particular stretch or any need to work or hold myself in the shape. Let's take a few rounds of breath together. And don't worry too much about controlling your breath either in today's practice. Inviting instead that quality of allowing. Breathing in, and breathing out. Breathing in, and breathing out. Let's take one more breath in. On the exhale, purse the lips and send the air out as though you were blowing out a candle. Nice and slow until there's no more air left in the body. If you have that prop underneath you, you can sit yourself up just enough so you can remove it, set that off to the side for now, and come back to your back. Let's walk the heels over towards the right edge of the mat, and then the shoulders, neck, and head to the right. So we're coming into this banana sort of shape. You can bring the arms up and overhead if that feels good. Close the eyes or soften the gaze. If you like, you could cross the left ankle on top of the right, maybe grab the left wrist with the right hand. But just think of those options as kind of ways to support so that the body can be soft. So if you get there and that feels like a little bit too much, you might instead opt to open up into more of a cactus arms. It might mean just walking the heels and then the shoulders a couple of inches. Whenever you feel as though you need to come back to the present moment, come back to this doing less. I invite you to return to that inhale in through the nose and the exhale out through the pursed lips like you were blowing out a candle. Maybe you take a couple of rounds of that simple breath just to refocus the attention. The attention is bound to get caught up in all sorts of things, maybe sounds in your space, maybe thoughts in the mind that you start to grab onto. Let's unwind, find your way back to that neutral Shavasana. And then heels walk towards the left. Hips stay where they are so that you can shift just the shoulders a couple of inches. Maybe you try the arms overhead, grabbing the right wrist. Or you might prefer the cactus arms, or even arms down by the sides of the body. It's just fine. Start to soften a little bit further. How might you soften a little more fully? Maybe that means simply feeling the weight of the body. Maybe it means separating the teeth in the mouth, allowing the tongue to be loose. Maybe it means accepting your experience just as it is. So even if there's some fidgeting or a sense of anxiety here, or maybe you're simply noticing a busy mind and it feels difficult to be with the body. See if you can embrace even that. Let's unwind. Back to Shavasana. Make your way into a fetal pose, one side, either side. We'll come to a seat. And we'll want some props for this next shape, which will be a seated forward fold. So I really encourage you to sit up on something, so to have the hips just a little bit lifted. A folded up blanket works nicely there, maybe even a cushion. And then grab whatever props you have available. Come to sit on the edge of that blanket or cushion. Extend your legs out in front of you. And it might be really nice to bring some sort of prop, a folded or rolled blanket or a bolster or pillow underneath the knees so that they can have a soft enough bend so that when you fold forwards, you don't feel that intense tug or stretch that probably a lot of us will feel as we come into this shape. So see what you can do here with your props. Maybe you can stack up enough so that the forehead can rest on something. And I encourage you to experiment a little bit with whatever you have. So since I just have one bolster here, I think it might actually feel nice to use that sort of to support the chest and the belly with the block. So you might find that that feels good for you too. You could separate your feet a little bit wider so they don't need to be zipped up close together or even at hips width apart. It might feel nice to let the belly be free or maybe to give it a little bit of support. Find your shape here. Allow yourself to get quiet. And again, back off enough so that this can be really easeful. So if you can come into a deeper shape, back off enough. Let the support of the props really hold you. Bow the head. Again, this is part of that practice of doing less. Something I think that is not the easiest for a lot of people in the world today. So even thinking about or doing less as we set ourselves up in the shape. Remember that simple breath technique whenever you need it. Inhaling in through the nose, exhaling out with the pursed lips. Maybe that breath also guides you and reminds you to soften a little further. To notice where you can let go of any clenching, maybe that you didn't even know you were doing. Start to come on out. Lift the head up last. Maybe you can tune in enough to feel the subtleties, the after effects of the pose. Maybe noticing different qualities in the body or energy moving in the body. Maybe just noticing simple sensations in the legs or the back. set your props off to the side for now. We'll take a brief twist. And I like this variation here with the soles of the feet on the mat, knees bent, plenty of space there in between heels and hips. And then bring the back of the left arm to hug in towards the outer edge of the right knee, or maybe even the right thigh. Right hand behind. And use that nice feeling of opposition here of the arm pressing into the leg and the leg into the arm. Just subtly, not using all of your force, but enough to just feel the nice opening. Opening through the shoulder. Maybe you feel the twist happening in the belly. And then we'll release and take that over to the left. So right arm now pressing into the left leg into the arm, left fingers come behind, tented. Release back to center. We'll set up for our next shape. So you'll definitely want some props here. Some pillows would be great. And if you have 2 blocks and a bolster, I'll show you an option for that. So we're coming into a half reclined saddle pose here. So if you have those blocks, you could bring them highest height, that will be the block further away from you for your head, and then middle height. And then I like to set them up like this, so that I have this broader surface here for my block at the middle height. And then I'll just go ahead and balance my bolster or a pillow or cushion on those blocks. So you kind of see the setup here. I'm just making this angled shape that's a little bit raised. So feel free, you could certainly make this similar shape with some cushions or firmer pillows underneath, maybe the one in the back a little higher, and then a pillow or some folded or rolled blankets or towels to go on top. The idea there being, we'll start on the left side, so I'll bring my left heel towards the outer edge of my left hip. So we're thinking of that half hero pose, if you're familiar with that from your other styles of yoga, and then right leg outstretched in front. So really simple in the right leg. If you know that this isn't a very comfortable or relaxing shape for you, which it might not be, then you could always come into a constructive rest in the legs, and you'll still have that really nice opening for the chest. Or another option would be maybe to come into a sphinx pose on the belly. And there you'll still get a nice little opening for the chest, a bit of a difference there in the legs. So you always have those options to adjust, because we're looking to restore, to relax. So if this doesn't feel relaxing, choose a different shape. And then I'll come on down to those props, which hopefully are really high enough here. I might need to scooch a little up or down, so that I don't need to go so far back, right? And that will hopefully take out enough of the sensation here through the left quadriceps, through the left front of the thigh, so that this can feel, again, really restorative, really simple. Embrace this time for deep rest. No matter what life holds right now, maybe life is feeling chaotic or stressful or uncertain. Know that it doesn't always have to be this full yoga practice, although if you can make some time for it, I certainly encourage you to return to practices like this if life is feeling overwhelming. But know that you can come right into this moment at any point in your day. You could simply close the eyes for 1 minute. And find yourself again amidst all of the noise or the stresses or the busyness or the doing. So even if life is feeling full and happy and fulfilling, there can still be moments of overwhelm there, or where doing starts to take over. Even then, we can find ourselves a bit disconnected. Even then, we can find that we start to set aside emotions, feelings, important things, and say, oh, I can attend to that later. Know that you can always attend to it now, from within, just with a few moments like this of quiet, at least internal quiet. Let's go ahead and switch legs. So go ahead and sit up if you need to sit up to switch sides. Maybe you can do it right from your reclined position. So if you have your half reclined hero, you'll just be bending the right leg and extending the left. And if you're in a constructive rest shape instead, or you are in a sphinx, you could always opt now to take a reclined butterfly. So with the soles of the feet together and the knees wide. You could come from your constructive rest into butterfly. you're in Sphinx, you could always opt to draw one heel in towards the glutes. You'd mimic a little bit of this shape that we're finding here, just on the belly instead of on the back. And if you are on the belly now with one heel drawing in, you might switch it up to the second side. Release that second side if you're on the belly, and you could opt to meet us now on the back, maybe in that constructive rest or butterfly option. A couple more moments here. Letting yourself be held by the props. to make your way up. We'll all meet in a seat. We'll take a moment to allow the chin to drop towards the chest. Then let's take a semicircle motion with the head. Side to side. Feel into the back of the neck, the sides of the neck. And then as you're ready, lift the chin back up. And then allow the throat space to open just a little bit. We'll take that same side to side motion. This time, feeling through the front and sides of the neck, the throat. Draw the head back to neutral. And open the eyes if they were closed, and we'll set up for our final shape. And this is where we'll take our Shavasana. So if you have that blanket folded, that might be a nice prop to have. And we're just coming into legs up the wall. If you have a wall nearby, I have my couch here and I like to take that variation. So I'll bring my blanket right underneath the pelvis and hips, and then the shins on the couch, or if you have a chair, that would be perfect as well. You could have the shins there on the chair. If you have a block, but you don't have the chair or the wall nearby, then you could take sort of a legs up the wall variation using the block. So the block will come right underneath the sacrum, low back relaxes off the prop, and then the legs will go up. And you'll send your toes just a little bit forwards towards the face, and hopefully that should allow for a feeling of effortlessness. So you don't feel as though you're holding the legs there in space. So many options here for our final pose, a gentle inversion. So come on in to whichever variation you've chosen. I think they're all pretty nice, so you might mix it up and try a new one. Maybe if you haven't done this one that I'm doing here with the calves supported, you might try that out. You could even support the calves with a couple of big pillows. Maybe you'd like a more traditional legs up the wall. Whichever variation of the inversion you've chosen, do your best to see if the inner thighs even could relax. feet, the hips, the belly, the chest and shoulders, the arms and hands, all relaxing down into the surface underneath. Allowing ourselves to take out enough of the aspects of sensation and effort and doing, so that we can really allow the being to shine in our awareness. So that you can experience the simple fullness of this moment. So that you can experience a quality of deep rest. Maybe as your awareness deepens, you feel almost this quality of the edges of the body, the surface of the skin, becoming less clear, less defined as the awareness spills out. As you find the sense of pure being, Let's bring the left hand and the right hand over the heart space. Feel the warmth of the hands. Know that this pure beingness is always there. Is always the base, the ground of your experience. Is always underlying all things. It is always available for you to choose to be present, to be present in this awareness. Even in difficult or challenging moments or chaotic moments. There's always this space within. As you're ready, make your way out of your inversion. Move slowly. Find your way to a seat. Let's bring the hands to heart center, prayer position. And say with me, the light in me bows to the light in you. Namaste.